An eventful week comes to a close at the U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam. Our third place game features the St. Joe's Hawks off to their best start in 10 years and the high-flying, intriguing ACC team, the NC State Wolfpack. It's the Pack and the Hawks in the U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam.
Michael Jordan. They won it! Wow! Oh my goodness! How about that? Oh boy! Unbelievable! Dreams to come true. As good as it gets.
We welcome you to St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam at the University of the Virgin Islands. Our third place game features the Hawks and the Wolfpack, both 1-1 so far in the tournament. Later tonight, the championship features the Blue Jays of Creighton vaulting up to 12th in the country. First, it's the Hawks and the Pack. Welcome inside. Thanks for joining us tonight. Darren Goldwater and Kevin Lehman. Even though they fell in the semifinals, the goal for both of these teams in coming to the island still doesn't change.
No question. They came here to get their culture and identity established and to find out what your strengths and weaknesses are, Darren. They got a lot of basketball left.
And what are the weaknesses for the Hawks? They need to find a third scorer. Maybe it's the freshman Brown.
Charlie Brown, Phil Martelli certainly hoped so. He had a huge game, 13 points in their last contest. He is long and lean. The guards need some help. This freshman's got to play like a senior. And for the Wolfpack, Terry Henderson was in a shooting slump. He broke out huge with 28 points, a career high against Creighton. Knocked in 7 triples. See if Henderson can continue today.
And while he's been doing it from the outside yesterday, someone else filling it up on the inside for more. Here's Monica Jonigan.
That's right, guys. Abdul Malik Abu needs to have the kind of performance they did in their tournament opener. He scored 25 points, which is a career high. He did it mostly in the second half, ended up shooting 80% from the field and 90% from the free throw line. This is exactly the kind of performance they need if the Pack are going to soar over these Hawks tonight, guys.
The junior Abu, the senior Henderson. Out of the ACC, the Pack. Out of the A10, St. Joe's, the Hawks and the Wolfpack from the U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam.
College basketball on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by the U.S. Virgin Islands is not just a vacation, it's Virgin Islands nice. Learn more and visit usvi.com. By NBA 2K17, available now, rated everyone. And by Basketball Travelers, for 30 years, the global leader in unique foreign tours and events.
Let's get this evening started here with NC State and St. Joe's. A look at your starters that have been the same for both teams ever since James Demery went down with an injury in Game 1 for St. Joe's. They have stayed consistent. And Kevin, we're going to be watching the backcourt here today. Shavar Newkirk and Lamar Kimball make up a great duo in the backcourt, but Dennis Smith Jr. is one of the best freshmen in the country.
Well, Kimball, Newkirk, gritty, undersized guards, under-recruited. This is a chance for them to go up against the #1 prospect at point guard, come out of high school last year, Dennis Smith Jr., preseason ACC Freshman of the Year.
Not only Freshman of the Year in the preseason, he was preseason first team All-ACC, headlining a freshman class that's the best that Gottfried has ever brought in and is one of the top 5 in the country. And we'll see Markel Johnson coming off the bench, another very talented freshman guard. But the story for NC State, if you haven't been with us for this trip down in St. Thomas, they are short-handed. Omer Yurtseven will not be eligible until December 15th. Kapita did not travel down. They're still working on some paperwork to make him eligible to travel outside of the U.S. And Maverick Rowan still dealing with concussion-like symptoms.
We thought Maverick Rowan might get to play today, but on the bench in street clothes. The Wolfpack, they go right down the middle. This is to look for today. The size of North Carolina State banging inside against the much smaller Hawks from St. Joseph.
That's a look at Maverick Rowan. Rowan, who's a great three-point shooter, but has only played in 1 game this year. Pack hoped to have him back shortly after their return back to the States.
81 triples last year by Maverick Rowan.
Here's the freshman now, Charlie Brown. He's got a chance to be one of the next great ones for the Hawks.
Boy, he has that look to him. That was smooth and silky. We talked in the open about he had 13 yesterday. He's got to come back strong for the Hawks. They need that third wheel to help out Kimball and Newkirk.
And they need the consistency, not the streakiness that we've seen this year and in particular yesterday. Robinson's going to keep that thing in for St. Joe's, and up they come.
Well, Robinson's trying to block out Anye, and he almost couldn't see Robinson behind that big body.
Robinson had Abu closing out at him, then he attacks Anya and will draw the foul.
That's what St. Joseph has done when they've been good. They've attacked the rim, no matter what the size is in there, and they have the quickness to get there before the secondary defender can get outside the restricted area.
For the first time in his 22 years at St. Joe's, Phil Martelli didn't bring back a returning scorer averaging in double figures, a very different looking Hawks team, which is one of the reasons why Charlie Brown needs to elevate his game. Potentially Chris Clover coming off the bench, who played so well in the first half yesterday and then pretty much disappeared in the second half.
Well, the Hawks had a spectacular year last year. Beat Cincy in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Close loss to Oregon. We saw how good the Ducks were. But as you said, Darren, a lot of new faces for St. Joseph's.
Mark Gottfried has seen this strategy defensively before. Ball goes down to the post, instantly double Abu. Get the ball out of the hands of the athletic front man. And an early turnover for a team that really doesn't turn it over a whole lot.
Their ball security has been exceptional throughout this tournament. They need Henderson to keep the hot hand on the perimeter, loosen up that inside defense.
Markel Lodge, the sophomore out of DC with the elevation.
But Newkirk, again with the penetration. Keep your eye on number one in that maroon. He can turn the corner.
And that's how they can really hurt you. That's how St. Joe's had some success against Ole Miss in the first half yesterday, when those guards can penetrate.
Well, Newkirk and Kimball, they have that. They get you off balance, get you on the hip, and then explode.
Dorn late in the shot clock, turned away by Brown. They're not going to get this off. Back-to-back turnovers here. This one a shot clock violation.
Well, Charlie Brown has lived up to his billing early, but this is Newkirk. Just a little shovel lob up high. Another assist.
Playing with so much confidence. Henderson draws the early assignment on Newkirk. Much different pace to this game than either of the two that we saw yesterday. Tough one in traffic, Dorn comes away with it. Here's Henderson, able to spot up on the wing. That is what Henderson did yesterday, drilling 7 threes.
And Mark Gottfried told us in practice, he is our best shooter. He's just been in a slump. 2-year layoff after the transfer from West Virginia. Terry Henderson getting back in his groove.
Now Dennis Smith Jr., the talented freshman, comes away with the steal. Doesn't have the numbers or the angle. Now he's in trouble and is forced to call a timeout. Five all, the early score, just over 3 minutes in. Consolation game of the U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam. Plenty of history, if you believe it, on the island of St. Thomas, and a lot of history in the programs of St. Joe's and NC State. Let's take a look at Kevin's keys. It starts with the Hawks handling the size of the pack.
They've got to battle on the boards. They cannot give up second chance points if they're going to win this game. And they got to squeeze the orange. That means take care of the basketball. Do not give the Wolfpack open court areas to go in, because they have team speed. North Carolina State, plug the gaps. Don't let those guards turn the corners. And they're looking for transition baskets. This is a team that wants to play fast, get Dorn and Henderson going in the open court.
Haven't been able to play fast yet Only time they tried was a possession ago when Smith was forced to call the timeout, and they'll turn it over again. Sluggish start here for the Wolfpack.
For St. Joseph's defense, a little bit of a gap defense. They got defenders in there taking away drives.
Casper off the bench, instantly aggressive. Lodge is turned away in there by Abu. Smith stays right in the hip pocket there at Kimball. Anya, unable to affect that shot. How about the body control of Newkirk?
Newkirk. Got the guts of a cat burglar. Slides right through the defense. Little English off the window.
Now he knocks this one out of bounds, and he knocked it off of the pack. Knocked it off the leg of Dennis Smith.
Watch this young man, the junior out of New York. He's played some hoops. Little English off the glass. Easy too.
He and Kimball were splitting time last year. Big role increase for both of them. And Newkirk, junior, playing with confidence, not turning the ball over. Crossing up Henderson, but a little bit strong on the floater.
Well, Darren, when you play with 2 point guards like St. Joseph's is doing, you're very difficult to guard because you can penetrate with various players and from different positions on the court.
Smith had that one deflected by Kimball. Then Anya has it taken away by Casper. Here goes the senior.
A great story on the walk-on. Brendan Casper. His dad actually played for Phil Martelli in high school back in 1981, Kenrick High School.
Anya finds Dennis Smith. I like the end of that story, though. Who was Phil Martelli's assistant in high school?
That should be our trivia question for halftime.
You want to hold on to it? It could be our little tease here for a little bit. Anya defends that one well and rips it away from Lodge.
Let's just say that assistant went on to win a huge amount of games and is still winning games.
And hasn't lost in a long time. Still coaching. NC State's turned it over 4 times in the last 5 minutes. You're watching Holiday Hoops, presented by Citizen Watch. Good-sized traveling party down here for NC State. Actually shared a charter down with Ole Miss. Coming up next, stick with us right here on CBS Sports Network for an exclusive one-on-one sit-down with former Purdue Hoops legend, current Cal head coach Quanzo Martin, only on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.
Quanzo Martin. I recruited him years ago, probably before you were born, Darren. Great player for Purdue.
How long ago?
It's been so long, I can't even remember.
You had trouble finding the house, didn't you?
But,
Dennis Smith right over Newkirk. First bucket in almost 3 minutes for the Pack.
St. Joseph, we said they had to win the rebounding battle. They're doing that so far with 7 rebounds and just 3 for the Pack.
St. Joe's is really dominating in all facets of the game at this point.
Their patience has been excellent at half court. Good ball movement side to side, spacing, allowing that dribble drive.
Freshman Markel Johnson, Kimball trying to shake him. Dennis Smith skies up and affects the shot. Knocked down onto the perimeter, here comes Henderson. Dennis Smith steps back into the corner, and Abu has the offensive rebound. That's where he excels, pretty quietly too.
Abu is on the glass, the pogo stick. Over half of his rebounds are on the offensive glass. The big man, 6'8", 240 pounds, out of Boston. He looks like he eats weights for breakfast.
That's going to go against Dorn. He extended that off arm and knocked down Casper, who's made a habit already here in the first 4.5 games of taking charges.
That's what got him in the lineup. Now watch Casper. Hands out, shows his hands, sells it just a bit, goes down in the disgust on Dorn's face. And that's tough. Those new directives we've talked about time and time again. Not only does the offensive player have a cylinder to protect, the defensive player has a cylinder that the offensive player cannot invade if he's in illegal.
Kimball turns down the screen. Bauman knocks it out of bounds. It'll be Wolfpack basketball. Now the Wolfpack yesterday tried to run with Creighton, and they did a good job of it in the first half. A highly entertaining half that had the feel of March basketball to it. But this team is only 8 deep here in St. Thomas, and eventually they were simply worn down. Foul trouble, depth, it got to them, and Creighton blew them out. Playing at a much slower pace today.
Well, Henderson was sensational in the first half with 17 points and knocking in the threes.
What a find from Newkirk, the 3 from Brown.
Now, speaking of threes, we highlighted the correct player in this open. Charlie Brown, the freshman, putting on a show.
Now this freshman draws a double team. He's able to find Johnson at the top of the key. Right back to Dennis Smith.
And we've seen Dennis Smith's confidence grow throughout this tournament. Quiet numbers, but 2-to-1 in assists. Just a freshman, preseason freshman of the year in the ACC and preseason first team pick.
That one looked a little odd with Newkirk going down. His knee seemed to buckle there. Good to see him pop back up. That foul's going to go against Johnson.
Now watch this ball here. Smith with the dish in the short corner. He gets behind the defense where he can't be seen. Another freshman we've talked about played very well, Markel Johnson, delivering the dime. 2 freshmen in the backcourt in state.
I like them when they play together.
Well, actually frees up Smith a little bit off the ball so he can catch it with his dribble live.
Nobody boxed out the shooter. Newkirk finishes off with the floater. It's a 5-point lead now for St. Joe's.
Shabar Newkirk has a nose for the basketball.
Smith sails one over there to Torrin Dorn. Body control for Smith, used the window. Nick Robinson, the freshman for St. Joe's, has the rebound. Markel Johnson elevates, but the shot goes a little bit higher there for Newkirk, who's got 6 early points.
This has become the Shabar Newkirk show. And he's mashed up on Jerry Smith, Dennis Smith.
There's the isolation that NC State has worked a lot on. And another offensive rebound for Abu until it was simply ripped away by Robinson. Up ahead, Brown. The English isn't there. The tip is, though. Robinson starts it on one end and finishes on the other.
Well, we said the key was transition baskets for State, but it's been the Hawks getting those transition baskets. They have built themselves a comfortable 9-point lead. St. Joseph's on a run.
Got some cruise ship traffic here in St. Thomas, the U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam. So easy to get to by boat, by plane.
How'd you like to drive one of those things?
I wouldn't. Would you trust being on it if I was behind the wheel?
I've been riding with you on the left side of the street as they drive on the opposite than they do in the States. And a little nervous. I'm getting a little nervous.
I did make a little mistake today, but we're okay.
The steering wheel's on the left side, so the passenger side is the side that is exposed to the
Danger
center
side.
line. It's coming out of those parking lots. It's tough because you want to get back on the right side like you do stateside, but there's usually somebody coming.
It's the turns. Once you're driving, it's okay. It's the turns. Out of the timeout here for NC State, see if they can get some consistency in their flow back on offense. Uncharacteristically have turned it over a handful of times here this half.
There's been a hard double team on the post by the Hawks with success.
Abu, who already has an offensive rebound, goes over the back of the graduate student Bauman. He's whistled for the foul.
I've liked what Bauman has done for the Hawks. He's coming off the bench. He's a big body, blocked out well. You know, Abu can climb your back, but they have gotten bodies on him and kept him off the glass. Not a lot of big, thick bodies for St. Joseph's, but Bauman gives him one.
Yeah, and he sets the screen, and it frees him up for the two-handed slam.
Yeah, he heard us talking about it. Miscommunication, tardy on the screen by the Wolfpack.
Abu fights one down there to Anya, and it'll be Newkirk whistled for the foul.
Well, you can see NC State's trying to jam this thing inside, but the quick hands of St. Joseph's is picking the pockets. Charlie Brown with the assist. Talked about Bauman. He's given some small numbers, but big contribution off the bench for the Hawks.
The run will continue for St. Joe's. With Anya well off the mark here, they've got 8 straight points here. The run is snapped here. And what's been impressive about this St. Joe's team today, in the first 4 games, it's been Newkirk and Kimball. Kimball has been very quiet here. It's been Newkirk, Brown, and reserves, role players.
And State have not been able to stop the penetration. They've gone zone. We've seen that do that before. Other teams have done that to the Hawks to take away that dribble penetration by Kimball and Newkirk.
And first time they're in zone, it forces the turnover for St. Joe's.
Good defensive change by Mark Godfrey. They've got a number of different zone looks, the Wolfpack.
Abu cut off there by Bauman, who just positioned himself on the block. Surprised Abu.
Well, St. Joseph's, their position defensively has been outstanding.
Got some numbers. Henderson all the way in by himself.
Oh, what a nice hesitation. Freeze the defender. Put it in overdrive, just slide by, made that look easy.
That is the first field goal for NC State in well more than 3 minutes.
Now this is an odd looking zone. It kind of starts as a tandem, and you'll see a player go through with a cutter. Takes a lot of good communication by NC State.
But it sagged in, and Clover had a good look.
Well, misdirection will hurt it. You can dribble to the strong side and bring it back to the weak side and get easy shots. But you got to make them.
Charlie Brown screened out of there by Anya, who then is fouled, going for the rebound. One of the deans of the coaches in all the coaching ranks, 22 years for Martelli. Talks about how the game is bigger than any individual game on the floor, the game of college basketball. It's all about trying to figure out how to keep the game healthy, progress it forward.
Well, that, and also I'm so impressed by what he does with community service with his team. He makes these youngsters understand there's more than just basketball.
Malik Abu.
BJ Anya is an excellent passer. Got soft hands. I was surprised to see he is the leading shot blocker in the ACC, but as you watch him play, the length of his arms and the soft hands, that allows him also to deliver that assist.
Is this zone a 1-3-1? Is that how it starts?
It starts as a tandem, but then that back guard will go with a cutter or to the first pass.
Well, it's the second possession here for St. Joe's looking at it. It's a late shot clock shot that Abu will throw off the leg of Robinson and keep the possession for the Pack. So this defense clearly has St. Joe's confused. Pack trying to fight their way back into this thing about halfway through the first half in our consolation game from St. Thomas. Bartender Ashley in the beach zone, the new addition here in the 17th edition of the U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam. Wednesday night, 8 Eastern. Join us for a behind-the-scenes look at this year's Veterans Classic, which featured a special homecoming for Marquette's Steve Wojciechowski, Bryce Drew's coaching debut with Vanderbilt, and much more. Hoops Confidential Veterans Classic presented by Northwestern Mutual, right here on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.
Now, Phil Martelli has to solve this zone in the timeout. Most teams will just run their man-to-man offense against it because it's so unorthodox that you can't run people into the normal gaps and soft spots.
I like what Mark Gottfried said to you when you saw it, and question was, is it a man or is it a zone? Because there's a guy trailing through the middle. He said it's hard to tell, that's why we like to use it. Other teams can't figure it out.
I told him I coached for 25 years and I was confused, and he said, good. Our opponent usually gets confused also.
They haven't showed it a whole lot in this tournament, though.
Well, Creighton shot him out of it. They tried to do it with Creighton, but they have so many weapons from beyond the arc that it was not successful.
Ball reversal down to Abu, who's doubled. Smith elects to drive with the circular move. He's got the English.
Well, that's what NC State needs to do. They're so packed in on Anye and Abu inside and doubling the post. When the ball comes back out, get in attack mode.
Here's Newkirk now in the corner. Robinson knocks it back down to Kimball.
How about the smaller Hawk team going in there and keeping offensive rebounds alive? They've tipped them out or tipped them to themselves.
But right now, after going on an 8-0 run, they've gone 3.5 minutes without a point. It's the Pack now on a run.
Well, it's been the zone that's caused problems for St. Joseph's.
Malik Abu is going to take that three. You don't see him do that very often, and then Anya is whistled for the silly foul.
Now this is Smith, and the penetration. The ball gets kicked out, sizes man up. Look at that nice crossover, and then excellent body control by the freshman. And we've got a number of NBA scouts sitting behind us, Darren. One of the reasons why they're here is number 4 with that NC State across his chest.
Most NBA prognosticators are in agreement. He's a top 2, maybe top 5 pick in this year's draft if he chooses to come out.
And he's just going to get better and better. Mark Godfrey talked about him getting more comfortable letting the game come to him. He's going to force the action in their first couple games. And we've seen him come of age right here in this tournament.
I agree. St. Joe's. Now they haven't scored in about 4 minutes. They've missed their last 7 shots.
Well, you notice those shots have not come from inside. They've been around the perimeter and contested.
Luker gazing around. That ball smacked him off the head across the baseline.
And we talk about Phil Martelli's young team. One of the things you run up against, a changing defense can cause a young team problems. They have to make the proper adjustments, and you have to do it on the fly.
Now it's Smith from the outside. He's got 9 points here this half.
Now Dennis Smith's show the last 6 minutes, and the zone continues.
As highly regarded as Smith is, this is the best he's played in the tournament.
But when you've seen a zone and you don't score, you're going to see it more and more.
Abu affected the shot, but another offensive rebound here will result in a foul on the floor. Ball was in the hands of Jai Williams.
Smith just sizes man up. Little step back. He's just playing with Newkirk. 6'3". Newkirk at maybe 6 foot.
They want
Could
you
be
to believe
generous.
that.
Could be generous.
Kimball navigates his way into that zone. Can't finish at the rim. But it's Casper, former walk-on, now on scholarship, who does a little bit of everything. Nice find. Kimball slapped away. Henderson knocks it across the baseline. It'll stay with the Hawks.
You gotta like the grit of St. Joseph's. Playing against a bigger opponent, they've gone in there time and time again and gotten second chance opportunities. But the zone keeps Abu underneath the rim. the shot blocker.
Newkirk traveled with it.
You know, they're passing off that dribbler to another defender. They cannot, Newkirk and Kimball cannot get the corner turned as we saw them do earlier in this game.
Phil Martelli spoke to us about consistency, the peaks and valleys, the streaks that this team has already shown that it's prone to suffering through.
Well, Darren, when you're a young team and you have freshmen, at times it's like taking a sip of water out of a fire hydrant and get splashed in the face.
Like that, the splash from Terry Henderson. 13 straight points for the Pack, and they've climbed back on top.
And the zone continues for State.
Casper bounces one down there. Abu thought it was clean. It'll be Jai Williams to the line.
Well, that's the tack you want. You want to throw it right to the free throw line, then look to the short corner. Casper flashed high. Williams working the short corner.
Well, now Abu has 2. Anya is already on the bench with 2.
Well, Mark Godfrey has gotten used to managing his minutes and his fouls throughout this tournament because of the short bench.
As much as he's gotten used to it, I'm sure he's looking forward to not having to do it as much once he gets this full group of players back. Yurt 7 will be eligible on the 15th. That's another part of this freshman class and another youngster who is being touted as a potential lottery pick should he decide to come out.
And they'll have Ted Capita as soon as they get back home. He was just sensational in the one game he played. 17 points, 8 rebounds in 24 minutes of action.
Dennis Smith with the Hicks screen, as confident and poised and under control as he's been.
Well, he had come into this tournament without making a 3. We've seen him become more confident with that jump shot. Smooth release, squared up.
Robinson into the zone, bumps his way off Henderson, missed it. Williams fouled with the putback. And it'll be the junior out of Philadelphia at the line when we get you back inside the University of the Virgin Islands. St. Joe's has gone more than 6.5 minutes without a bucket. Hawks have yet to figure out this zone, but they'll have a shot at the line with Jai Williams there. Stick around
CBS
at the
Sports
half.
presents AT&T.
Because it is AT&T at the half. Coming up here, Monica will tell you all about the beautiful island of St. Croix on AT&T at the half.
And their best export was a young man named Tim Duncan.
Heard of him.
You suppose he's back there now that he's retired?
Is that right?
I don't know. I would be. Beautiful here in the islands.
NBA is a little bit different without Kobe Bryant around, without Tim Duncan around.
Changing the guard.
Here's the junior Williams. Put a concerted effort in the weight room and the strength program over the last couple of years. He's trimmed 60 pounds to try and be more of a valuable role player this year.
Well, he didn't see action against Loyola, but against Ole Miss earns some more minutes, and that's what this is about, gaining the trust of your coach. Jai Williams has done that.
Similar for Darius Hicks, who pops up there to set the screen. Opportunity for him in this tournament. Torin Dorn, quiet half for Dorn. That's his first points.
Now you look at this zone, it's that tandem look and it shuffles.
There's a late call. Tim Comer was on it. The arm extends. And the offensive foul charged to Robinson.
Now Torin Dorn, this, again, we talk about Smith, finds his man in the gap, going with a nice little step in 3 ball. High percentage. Dorn, the transfer from UNC Charlotte, Conference USA Freshman of the Year. He's shooting 62% from the field this season.
And during this run for the Wolfpack, St. Joe's hasn't hit a field goal On a cut, what a pass behind the back from Johnson, and Hicks is fouled.
Oh, we've been impressed by that freshman. Johnson. Hicks may not have quite been ready for that pass.
The speed that he wrapped it around his back.
I like Markel Johnson, especially when he's in there with Dennis Smith. It lets Smith run the baseline and use his size and get some isolations. But as Mark Godfrey said, when I put Markel Johnson in the game, I don't like to take him out. I think good happens.
Here's Kimball. Johnson was late, rotating over. That's how tight the seal is on that rim. More than 7 minutes now without a bucket.
It's taken the Hawks out of any rhythm they had early.
Smith slides one through a tiny window, and Henderson hits the three. (31-24). NC State drilling them from all over the floor. Kevin Lehman, I'm Darren Goldwater. While the defense in the zone has been great, this team couldn't buy a three at the beginning of the year. Now these last couple of games, it's almost like they're not missing from three.
Well, Terry Henderson has certainly got his confidence. 7 triples yesterday against Creighton. It wasn't enough to overcome the onslaught of the Jays, but certainly has his confidence. 28 points, a career high for Terry Henderson. But you saw Phil Martelli at that timeout. He had the grease board out, drawing up plays, trying to solve and crack this zone defense of the Wolfpack. And if somebody flashed that high post area.
There it comes. Kimball blows past Henderson, who came out to close. Still no buckets. Look out. Here's Markel Johnson, who doesn't have the finish. Smith led him a little bit too close to the rim.
Look at the lateral quickness of Markel Johnson.
There it is. Their first bucket since the dunk from Bauman at the 10-11 mark.
And from who else but Newkirk.
It's Newkirk again, but he's the one to touch it last. You know, despite this drought, they're only down 5.
Yeah, I watched Newkirk here. He's excelled at this ability to kind of lose a defender, a little spin move. You don't know. This crossover is an ankle breaker.
Smith's going to set this thing up. 5 seconds to shoot. He'll just pop it over Newkirk. Newkirk between the legs of Darius Hicks.
I told you, guts of a cat burglar. How about that dime? Got a little smile on his face now.
He should.
That was sweet. Hicks is going to get razzed in the film session on that one.
Yeah, that one's not going to go over very well when it goes right through the 5-hole. And now, with less than a minute to play, back-to-back baskets for the Hawks. They're just down by 3 despite a 10-minute drought in buckets.
Well, watch Newkirk on this play. He's got eyes up. Woo! Hicks jumps just enough to let it slide through. Got a little bit of his shorts. Oh, I would not want to be Sean Hicks when that film session comes out. Or Darius Hicks. Or any Hicks.
You don't want to be anybody in that room, I don't think.
We talked about coaches, those film sessions. They have the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm not sure where you'd put that one.
Somewhere in between bad and ugly. But that's pretty for Torin Dorn, his second 3.
Dorn known more as a mid-range jump shooter. He's expanded out to the three-point line.
Newkirk bottled up over there. Casper got in his way, but Newkirk is the spark the Hawks need at the end of that half, propelling them through an extended drought with a couple of buckets and a nifty pass. And he's got them within 3. St. Joe's off the loss to Ole Miss yesterday, and NC State trying to bounce back from the Creighton game. And it's Mark Gottfried who's with Monica John again.
Coach, talk to me about what you're impressed with your team in the first half, and what are you going to tell them to improve? 4 points is not too bad.
Well, we started really slow. I mean, really slow. You know, we were sleepwalking a little bit, and then we woke up and started to play. We had some energy. Once we got our energy going, now we're starting to play basketball a little bit. Our matchup has helped us a little bit on our defense, but and we're moving the ball really well. We just got to have great energy the next 20 minutes.
We talked about pace yesterday. How do you make sure this team plays at the pace you want to and you guys don't slide down to theirs?
We want to run. We were trying to go, let's go, and that's what I told them. Early in the half, we were walking the ball up the floor. That's not who we are. We got to get it, make or miss. We're going to go at you, okay?
Good luck in the second half.
So they picked up the tempo and put together a 22-4 run keyed by the freshman superstar Dennis Smith. Halftime 2016 U.S. Virgin Island Paradise Jam 34-30 pack. Stick around, AT&T at the half on CBS Sports Network.
CBS Sports presents AT&T at the half.
Welcome to AT&T at the half, where the Wolfpack enjoy a 34-30 lead over the Hawks of St. Joseph's. You know, St. Croix's most famous export is Tim Duncan, whose jersey will soon to be retired next month. But that big island of the three Virgin Islands also has plenty of history to offer.
We've just landed on the beautiful island of St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. We're about ready to go up to do a wonderful clinic for a pile of kids eager to learn a little more about the great game of basketball.
We are extremely proud to be associated with Paradise Jam. They come and they acclimate themselves to the community. They immerse themselves in the community, especially with our young people. And I know in particular, Nels, he is so bubbly about helping the youngsters. I mean, it's contagious. I was glad that on Veterans Day, Nels and the crew was able to get to St. Croix and do a significant contribution in getting our youngsters the training.
I'm extremely proud to be from St. Croix. St. Croix, people from St. Croix are known as Crucians. It has such a flamboyant history, rich history.
The Weir Museum, it's preserved to the best extent possible to give you that feel for just how a sugar plantation operated back in the day.
I personally like to hang out in Frederiksted because Frederiksted is really where the rich history occurred, all of the stand-up, all of the fight, all of the resistance to slavery. That's where really it occurred. St. Croix had over 300 plantations. Every acre on St. Croix was in cultivation.
We brag about having the most eastern point in the United States, and that is called Point Udall in St. Croix. Christiansted is significant because it offers you that living history. The government house in Christiansted, you know, that was constructed, I think, in 1747. You also have the fort in Christiansted that was used to keep enemy ships from coming in and damaging the island.
We have outdoor, where people can sort of get out the office, get out the big buildings, come get into nature. I think it's a real place of healing.
Give St. Croix a chance and just come and visit, and you will fall in love.
Come be healed on St. Croix. Come find yourself on St. Croix, someplace where you can still say, ah.
It's just a short seaplane flight away, and you can see where Alexander Hamilton got his start, the big island of St. Croix. You're watching AT&T at the half. We'll be back with more from the U.S. Virgin Islands.
At one point in the first half, the Hawks led by 11. Then they went ice cold, and it was the NC State Wolfpack who ended on a big-time run. Darren Goldwater and Kevin Lehman started the night talking about St. Joe's needing some help for their two guards, but instead it's really just been all Newkirk here in the first half.
It's been the Shavar Newkirk show for him in the first half. He's done it a number of ways. Little alley-oop to his partner. And how about this one? He's going to chase down his own miss. Little soft floater for Newkirk. How about this? Ball on a string. A little playground between the legs, baby. Showtime for Newkirk. Then kiss one off the window just for luck. And from State, spin to Jerry. Dennis Smith show. Little flush off the dime. How about this change of direction? A little spin by Dennis Smith. And his three-point line shot has just become of age in this tournament.
NC State hit 6 of their last shots overall going into the half. They continue to stay hot for now 2 straight games from beyond the arc and close the half on a 24-10 run. Earlier, Monica was with Phil Martelli.
Coach, talk to me about what you told your team in this half to come out in the second half and really get over the hump against this team.
Well, we have not been great in the second half any game this year or even in our scrimmages, so we have to answer that. But I was really pleased. We have a lot of great numbers, out-rebounding them, did not turn the ball over. We had some difficulty making shots against their matchup zone. But all in all, I thought we did a really, really nice job, made our foul shots. Now we have to make sure that we start this the way we started the game.
Coach Godfrey said he likes the pace. They like to get up and down. Talk to me about how your team is adjusting to the speed in this game.
Well, we don't have a problem with it. I mean, we took 35 shots. We're really a team targeted to shoot 60 times a game. But in this game, it looks like we're going to get 65, 66 shots. That's all right.
Okay, good luck in this half.
Thank you.
NC State starts the half going small. Markel Johnson starts this half for BJ Anya, and he begins the half feeding one down to Dorn, who goes to the line.
I think Mark Godfrey has chose to go with that smaller lineup because it makes his zone more mobile. With the big guy, Anya, on the bench, and Abu patrolling the back line.
A couple of years ago, Dorn was a finalist for the National Freshman of the Year when he was the Conference USA Freshman of the Year, playing over at UNC Charlotte. And despite family ties to the Tar Heels, his dad starred there, then played in the NFL. His brother currently plays for the football Tar Heels. He decided to come over to NC State.
What do you think he does when those two schools play each other in football? He's to go lock himself in his room.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2-1 at that point. It's the house divided.
For this zone, they're just making St. Joseph's play left-handed.
It's a big story in the first half and now rolling right into the second. Kimball hasn't hit a shot. He's now 0 for 9. He and Newkirk, up until this point, have combined for more than 50% of the Hawks' points this year.
Well, he had 46 in the win over Loyola.
Charlie Brown read that one from Dennis Smith, so it's the lob on this end.
And if they can get some transition baskets, some easy points for the Hawks, they'll loosen up that zone.
A little bit sloppy going back and forth here. It'll be Robinson now at the line.
How about the conversation Monica had with Phil Martelli as we watched this attempted alley-oop? Was everything out of his mouth was positive about this young team and what they're getting done.
To close the half in the fashion in which St. Joe's closed it, unable to generate anything other than Newkirk, and go through that extended, almost 10-minute field goal drought. Yet here they are down 5. It's an easy way to talk to your young team is, look, we're okay.
Yeah, excellent point. We played bad, and we're still in this thing because you know we're going to play better in the second half. Then get some stops, get some runouts, score baskets before the zone gets set up. It'll help the Hawks immensely.
Robinson just a hair late getting out on Torin Dorn, who's matched his season output on threes. That's his third.
Torin Dorn is shooting just under 70% from the field for the year.
Inside, Lodge again can't put it home.
Well, they got the play they wanted.
Now it's Smith going end-to-end, rejected by Lodge, who gets back to defend his own rim. Brown challenges Abu. Markel Lodge just galloping each way, and now he turns it over. This is a foul on Robinson. How about the athleticism of Lodge going end to end?
You know, I like Lodge. He does not put up a lot of points, but he came in this game 7 of 7 from the field for the season. He's been a rebounder, role player, but very active. Long, athletic. Just a sophomore.
Smith bounces one in the lane to Abu, who switches to the left hand for the finish.
And we talked about Abu at a half. Oh, he has such a physical presence. He's had trouble getting isolations in the block, but now he's playing the 5 spot with Anye on the bench.
Now he's got that rebound. NC State has picked up in this half where they left off in the first. They've got their largest lead of the game. La, Abu, finish.
That's putting your name on it.
Casper now halfway down, and it's Abu on this end above the rim for the rebound.
Boy, Abu, he got the halftime speech.
Smith fouled by Lodge. Oof, and then he hits the base of the basket pretty hard. Seen some highlight reel jams in this tournament.
Well, Malik Abu has come out in the second half, ready to play, and a little alley-oop. He's going to make a statement. Put your name on it.
Here's Smith now. He's a freshman, but he graduated early. After sitting out his senior year of high school, he was able to leave early because he tore up the knee, got the graduation done, able to rehab that knee with the NC State staff. And a lifelong Wolfpack fan out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Headlines the best recruiting class ever for Gottfried.
He's had a quiet 6 assists, has just turned it over 1 time. We talked about how he's gotten more and more comfortable throughout this tournament.
Charlie Brown cut down to the baseline. There's Casper with an offensive rebound. He got Abu in the air. He had a lane, but didn't see it.
I don't think he could because of Abu's size.
That one will circle through for Shavar Newkirk, who's got 12.
Newkirk is trying to will this team.
Casper had to honor that Dorn head fake because of his threes. A couple more dribbles, it's an easy 2.
Dorn excels at that mid-range jumper. We've seen him hit the 3 ball. Makes him that much more dangerous.
Charlie Brown draws rain and connects on the 3.
Was Phil Martelli right about that young man? Charlie Brown has a great look to him. Can shoot the 3, long, athletic, puts a little more upper body strength on. He'll be a force in the A-10.
There's Newkirk in the midst of the trees here. Now he's trying to go coast to coast. Seals off Abu. And it is Malik Abu, the junior, who's got the board.
A little more of the pace that the Wolfpack want.
Even with the pace, 3 of their guards have played every minute of this game, including Dennis Smith Jr., who connects on another 3. That's his 3rd of the day. He's got 17 now, Kevin.
Well, I told you I like that backcourt of Smith with Markel Johnson as Johnson made that penetration. Johnson can get to the rim. He has a wicked crossover. And then Dennis Smith just feeds off of him. This is actually a more dangerous team, State, when they go small.
When Johnson and Smith are back there together, it's when they've looked their best. It goes back to yesterday, even against Creighton. Same was true.
Well, they're actually playing with 4 guards right now with Dorn and Henderson, Smith, and Johnson.
Mark Gottfried will take the timeout. Another good start to the half here for the Wolfpack, who lead it by 11. You're watching Holiday Hoops, presented by Citizen Watch.
Hey guys, this lead has probably got Coach Godfrey feeling like this. I'm in the Inada chair, best massage chair in the world, hanging out in the beach zone. You know, guys, my job is a little bit better than yours at this point. What do you think?
So I'm jealous because I was in that chair about 2.5 hours ago, and I had to come here. See, you got to put down the mic though, Monica, because your arms go in the slots over there.
Oh,
And the hands get, the hands get massaged, the arms get, there you go.
See, these Nels and Basketball Travelers, they know how to get the sponsors. I mean, this is what you want.
How come Monica and Darren know so much about this chair that I've never seen?
I told you that you needed to go try it out before the game. You just decided not to.
Somebody's got to hold down the fort and work.
I'll leave that to you.
We may not see Monica again.
Guys, what was that?
We may not see you again.
I'm ordering cocktails from this chair.
All right. If I wasn't jealous enough that Monica was over there in the beach zone. Now we got a timeout on the floor. Gottfried kind of got that 2-for-1 timeout working. Calls one, then he gets one on the floor. It's an 11-point lead for the Pack. It's the U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam, and it's been paradise here for a week for these teams. Most of them arrived on Wednesday, finishing up a 3-game tournament. St. Joe's 1-1, same with NC State. Later on tonight, the championship game featuring the Blue Jays of Creighton, who have made the largest jump up the AP poll today, vaulting 10 spots into a tie for 12. Their fans were here early, and they've got the Rebels of Ole Miss. Can they run with them? They might try.
Well, Creighton with a huge win at home over Wisconsin before making the trip out here, and the win over Washington State convincingly, and then over the Wolfpack. They've had a difficult schedule.
They haven't made it look difficult, though. It's been easy if you look at the scores. Bauman wins it away from Anya, who wins it right down to the floor. Then he crushes Charlie Brown.
Anya's making a statement, don't come in my house. But he's walking toward the bench, thinks Coach's gonna pull him out. Nice block, boy, his excellent timing. Big man gets up quick. That one was a little hard.
Been some big collisions with Anya in this tournament. Phil Martelli has been cautious in his praise of Charlie Brown. And it's tough, he kind of rolls out the praise and then pulls it back. He's compared him to Rasul Butler, played 13 years in the NBA and at LaSalle. Said the body type is a little bit like Kerry Kittles. Then he reels it back in because he doesn't want too much on Charlie Brown yet.
He also said the floor is slanted to the offensive end for Charlie Brown, which is typical of a lot of freshmen. They seem to run faster to the offensive basket than they do to the defensive basket.
Look good in the box score. NC State has led by as many as 13. Believe it or not, St. Joe's had an 11-point lead in the first half and then couldn't buy a bucket down the backstretch of that half. Here's Kimball, who still doesn't have a basket tonight. That'll change his first points.
Well, you could tell when he came up and caught that, he was ready, confident, even though he had missed 10 previous. That one was going to go in.
How about Dorn? Another three.
Dorn's had a nice tournament. 16 points a game. Shooting a high percentage.
Most of that was from inside the arc until today. That's changed today.
Oh, it's Montana. He just drove it right to the nail and rose up and shot it over the Grizz players.
Montana was their first opponent in the tournament.
And then showing his long range in this game against St. Joe's.
There he is with the defensive rebound.
Now, St. Joe's does not want the Wolfpack to start playing going downhill. They get their defense set every trip.
3 players sunk in on Dorn. Malik Abu can't cash in. Newkirk picks his way, hesitates. And it's Dennis Smith Jr. who's able to corral it down there on the baseline. What a find, down to Abu. The hands of Abu. Hit him like a rock, but he was able to gather it in.
He's got some soft frying pans. Malik Abu. Smith, great vision.
One of the top power forwards in the ACC. Tested out the NBA waters after last year, worked out with the Celtics, and learned that he needs to put the ball on the floor a little bit better, work on his shot a little bit better. But the athleticism has never been questioned.
His ability to get on the offensive glass. Those are the things that carry over from one level to the next. So from college to the NBA is your ability to rebound the basketball. And that is one thing that Malik Abu does with great success, especially at the offensive glass.
Can he play the 4 in the NBA?
He's undersized for the 5, but you know, the NBA's changing. It's becoming a no-position league. But he could be a role player as a defender and a short-range scorer.
Fading away, Dennis Smith touched everything but the bottom of the net.
A back-to-back possession guy, Abu, because he can get it off the offensive glass.
He's got the body that maybe he could be the next of the college basketball players who goes on to be a tight end. It's kind of the trend these days.
Yeah, Rico gathers from Baylor.
That ball was not touched by NC State. It'll be Wolfpack ball when we bring you back to the University of the Virgin Islands. All the blue in the middle section of the stands over there waiting for tonight's championship game between the Creighton Blue Jays, who have vaulted their way up to number 12 in the AP poll, and Ole Miss. Rebels come in unbeaten. How about this for the Blue Jays, Kevin? All 4 of their wins this year have come against teams that were previously unbeaten, and they've put up over 100 points in 2 games here.
In every game they've won in double figures. And there's a look at the Jays coach, Greg McDermott.
That game's coming up at 8:30 Eastern here on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Sean Kirk sees his first action here today. He's got it here in the corner right over Nick Robinson, who's in the game with 4 fouls. Struggles from the floor against this defense have continued in this half for the Hawks.
Well, ball movement's good, but they're just not, they're playing around the edge. Need some penetration. The Hawks live off. There you go.
Can't finish though, and Sean Kirk's got the board.
And if you look at three-point shooting, State came in shooting 20%. They are 10 of 16 in this game from beyond the arc. And we talked about this tournament, 3 games in 4 days, what it can do for your team. Identity, culture, confidence. Wolfpack have got some confidence behind the arc.
I'll expand on that for you. Not only shooting well today, they hit 14 of them yesterday.
Well, and you look at the stats, if you're going to prepare for NC State for this tournament, and you're seeing that 16% is what they were shooting from the arc before this tournament started. So you're going to think, I'm going to zone them up. I'm going to use a pack line defense. I'm going to get them to shoot over the top. But now you got to adjust everything you've thought about.
Newkirk, enough room there for Dorn, and Martelli takes the quick timeout. His team's clawed back to 11 here. That goes to what we were talking about earlier today. Coaches, even at this point in the year, you'll hear say, look, you are who you are already. Then you pointed out to me, well, you could also go back and look at some trends.
There's a nice pass over the top of the zone. Newkirk. I like the way Phil Martelli's handling his team. You know, he is not upset. He's teaching all the time. He's got a young team. He's been very positive with him. And he talked about how this tournament's going to get him ready for A10 play, because the two guards weren't going to be able to do it. He needed some other people to step up. We've seen Charlie Brown do that. He's got some good minutes out of Markel Lodge, Nick Robinson, Casper, Bauman. These guys each have to take a bigger load for this team.
Tough sledding going through the A10. Rhode Island looking like the team to beat right now.
Yeah, Danny Hurley, the older brother of Bobby. A nice squad in Rhode Island. I called one of their games last year. He's got a big physical front line. I like that team.
St. Joe's is looking for that third, maybe fourth scoring option. Rhode Island's just rolling through them. 4 seconds on the shot clock here. Terry Henderson trying to create. Kimball sticking with him. Never hit the rim.
A nice stand by St. Joseph's. Now they have to capitalize at the offensive end. The Hawks picked 9th in that A10. Rhode Island wasn't even picked to win it in the polls. It was Dayton, then Rhode Island, VCU, Davidson, LaSalle, George Washington. And the Hawks with no player on a preseason team. Now I got to think you're going to give a strong look to Shavar Newkirk if he continues this type of play throughout the season.
That's kind of a catch-22, because if Newkirk keeps filling it up and carrying the load, personally and individually, yeah, the accolades will come, but will the wins come?
Well, he's got the ability to involve other players, because he can penetrate, dance with the ball, get inside the defense.
Abu won't get credited with that bucket. It'll go to Bauman, but it was Abu who knocked it through.
You know, but Bauman's always in there battling. Number 34, I like his game. I think he's going to get more minutes as this season progresses.
That ball hit him on the face. Charlie Brown can't win it off the floor. Brown up against Dennis Smith, who backs out of the way. And don't look now, it's a 7-point game.
That's what we said. The Hawks need some transition baskets. And Dennis Smith, smart enough, let's get out of the way and not give up a 3-point play.
It's a dangerous pass out there to Henderson. It hung up for a while. Mid-range jumper for Abu. That's the other part of his game he's been working on.
Abu with the answer. This is an opportunity. St. Joseph's with a little momentum. They have to keep it going.
Kimball and Dorn battling, and Kimball touched it last.
The freshman might have fired that one a bit too soon for Coach Martelli's liking. Still staring at him.
I think Brown could feel that glare. He didn't turn around, wouldn't look back at that bench.
Well, there's such a thing as a uncontested three and a contested three. Even Shavar Newkirk's given the freshman a little lesson on when to shoot it and when not to. He'll learn.
Wow, after the foul.
But what's impressive about that play is not the attempt to dunk, is getting a little talking to by Tony Crisp about trying to throw that down after whistle. But the way that Dennis Smith split that trap, I mean, it was hesitation, overdrive, gone.
Hasn't seemed to play outside of himself today. What Gottfried has said to us, let the game come. It's been so smooth.
Well, we've seen it progress each game that he has played in this tournament.
Jai Williams cuts off the baseline and Abu turns it over. Here's Smith showing the hops. Dennis Smith is fouled. Dennis Smith will be at the line. 7:44 to go in our consolation game of the Paradise Jam. early season tournament time. We wrap up the Paradise Jam here tonight. Tomorrow night, CBS Sports Network comes to you live from Mexico with the Cancun Challenge. First at 6 Eastern, Auburn takes on Texas Tech. Then at 8:30, Utah State is out to play spoiler against Matt Painter's now 17th ranked Purdue Boilermakers, only on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.
Matt Painter has that huge front line at Purdue. Took one on the noggin there by Villanova out of the Big East. At home, Purdue dropped one.
Played him tough, though. Really good game.
Three-pointer, but you gotta win those at home. Gavitt games. Big East versus the Big Ten.
Creighton, who will take this floor next, beat Wisconsin in one of those Gavitt games.
You know, I like that because we're seeing better matchups early in the season because the challenges between different conferences. As Dick Vitale would say, the cupcakes on the schedule are disappearing in November. Better and better contests.
Charlie Brown surveys his options.
I'll give you the good and the bad stat here. St. Joseph's with 18 offensive rebounds. The bad stat, they're not shooting it well. That's why they're getting so many offensive rebounds.
Yeah, not at all. Newkirk seals off Abu. He goes right into him. And they're going to get the foul on Abu. Tony Crisp is saying sideways. That's why I didn't have position. Let's check with Monica.
Guys, during that last timeout, Coach Martelli started to write on the tablet and then just slammed it to the court, looked at his team and said, inexcusable, inexcusable. He said, this last 7 minutes is where I find out what we're made of. We got to get up and down the court. No more sloppy mistakes, guys.
Thanks, Monica. The culmination then of what he was talking about coming in, learning about his team by the time they leave. 7 minutes left to really figure out what they're made of.
And it's not always about the X and O's. That's why the dry erase board got slammed down. And the challenge, the gauntlet was dropped by Phil Martelli.
Well, NC State is now in a somewhat similar spot when they played Creighton yesterday. Their depth is going to be on display, or lack thereof. 2 players in foul trouble, Markel Johnson and Abu on the bench with 4 fouls.
Abu's logged a lot of minutes.
If the run's going to come, it's going to have to start soon for St. Joe's with both those guys on the bench and Sean Kirk in the game.
There's another offensive rebound by the Hawks.
This ball fake by Newkirk, couple dribbles in the bucket.
He is so smooth. Newkirk now with 19.
And the Hawks are getting it back. Sean Kirk whistled for the offensive foul underneath the hoop.
There's your scores tonight. Smith and Dorn. Abu. Terry Henderson. Abu on the bench with 4.
And Markel Johnson getting set to come off the bench with 4. Kimball in the middle of that zone, just hasn't been able to find it tonight.
Anye with a challenge. Big number 21 flying at you.
Wolfpack seemed to be slowing it down a little bit more here this half.
Well, sometimes the zone does that because it's allowed St. Joseph to be patient at the offensive end, and it's taken a little bit of the wind out of the sails. And the Hawks haven't turned it over much. Their guard play is strong. Their just inability to score against State's zone has been their problem.
Not just one of the best point guards in the country, but as a freshman, Dennis Smith is on the Wooden Watch, Naismith Trophy watch list, one of 50. The accolades just rolling in for Dennis Smith.
When you watch this game, he's so smooth and the ability to get into gaps. Now he's got the three-point range confidence. State still staying in this tandem zone as it starts out.
Markel Johnson in with 4 fouls. Newkirk with the no-look pass, and Anya with the rejection. The opposite Mutombo.
The active career shot blocker in the ACC, number 21. You get that big body off the floor in a hurry.
7 foot 9 inch wingspan helps a little bit. Johnson lost the handle, never could regain.
I've been impressed by the way State has got back in transition and stopped St. Joseph's when they've had numbers.
After getting that stop, Hawks need to get stops, need to start trading points after stops. Newkirk keeps showing off different moves, his third 20-point game in 3 games in this tournament.
Oh, he has been sensational. The junior out of New York City got some game.
This drought you're seeing includes no field goals for NC State.
Well, the Hawks had this down to 6 points. This is a huge possession. They can make a stop.
Step back for Dennis Smith. Abu couldn't bring it in, but Henderson will win it. And he's fouled by Jai Williams.
Boy, second chance opportunities. They give coaches gray hair or make you go bald. Henderson started off strong. He's been quiet here in the second half. Dorn has stepped up. Dennis Smith has stepped up. Got some points out of Abu.
They've been balanced. Of the guys who are available, 4 are in double figures. 12 now for Henderson.
I mean, it's such a nice release. He started his career at West Virginia. You know, his sophomore year, he averaged over 12 a game for the Mountaineers. And then the 2 years sitting out, had to sit out for the eligibility, and then turned the ankle 6 minutes into the first game last year. So it's 2 years since Terry Henderson has played basketball.
Not showing any ill effects of it. Had a big game in the opener this year. Huge game yesterday.
He's got his jumper back. He's got his groove back.
Newkirk wins it on the perimeter, then he attacks. Another bucket for Newkirk, who's carrying the Hawks.
You know, I'm watching Newkirk. I'm trying to think of who he reminds me of as a player. A little bit of Earl the Pearl Monroe if you go way back. He's got that spin move that changes direction, that nasty crossover, and he's always around the basketball.
Does seem to find him. Dorn, that is a big 3 for NC State. Gets them back to a 9-point cushion.
Dorn has hit some huge shots in this game for the Wolfpack.
Get the feeling St. Joe's needs somebody other than Newkirk down the stretch. Markel Lodge earns another possession. Charlie Brown just might be that guy. Timeout Hawks. True freshman out of Philadelphia. 14 points on 3 threes. The lead was as big as 14 for NC State, getting whittled all the way down to 6. It's time now for this week's high energy performance of the game, brought to you by Citizen Watch.
Markel Johnson, the freshman. 3 assists, no turnovers. They got a little no-look shovel pass to Dennis Smith on the season. Markel Johnson with 16 assists and just 3 turnovers.
Not numbers you expect from a freshman.
As Mark Godfrey has said, I put him in the game. Don't like to take him out because good things happen. We had 9 points, 6 assists, and no turnovers against Montana. A little rover set that NC State runs. They'll bring Henderson off those screens off the block.
Smith splits it at the top, then hangs in the air long enough to draw the foul.
Their body control and upper body strength by Dennis Smith. Once he gets going downhill, he is extremely dangerous because he can score with the upper body strength, has the vision to find the open man.
Broad-shouldered 6'3" freshman. Tries to pattern his game after Chris Paul. He's a film junkie, but not on the offensive end. He wants the coaches to clip up Chris Paul on the defensive end. That's where he spends most of his time.
And that's rare for a freshman. To get into defense. Most freshmen are concerned about their jump shot.
Here's Clover. Now that's a missing piece for St. Joe's. Clover off the bench is a guy the Hawks are really expecting big things of this year.
And he needed to step up. Newkirk making the play again.
Hawks need some stops. Down by 6, nearing 2 minutes to go.
Now big possession here. Smith knows it also.
Henderson can't shake free of Newkirk, and it's Newkirk who stays up long enough to swat it out of bounds with 2 on the shot clock.
Newkirk has that irrational confidence. He kind of feels like he can score on anybody, and he can defend anyone. Just a little guy, 6'1".
But he can't go up higher than Henderson down there on the block, who loses it.
Did everything he could illegally to hold him down with no call.
Who's gonna win it? Who wants it? Brown had a hand on it on the baseline. All that, and it'll be NC State ball.
Oh, you gotta like the grit of this St. Joseph team.
Johnson on the floor right now with 4.
Abu on the bench with 4. Godfrey brings Abu in here. This last minute. He likes this lineup right now. Anya patrol in the middle.
Now, this is a crushing possession though for St. Joe's. It went 30 seconds, then they got another 30, and now a foul. So they have just killed almost a minute on this end of the floor.
Smith, not a person you want to put at the free throw line.
He's exceeded 20 points in all 3 games down here in St. Thomas. It's a new personal high for him, just 5 games into the season.
And you made the comment earlier, Mark Godfrey, you know, we talked about him the first game because Dennis Smith had struggled shooting the basketball. I said, not worried, just trying to get him to slow down, let the game come to him. And he's got much smoother throughout this 3-game tournament.
Here's Clover now, capturing his own miss.
The State's got a little film to study on offensive rebounds. The Hawks have gobbled them up.
Johnson gobbled up the loose ball. Henderson with the exclamation point here with 1:05 to go.
And another assist by Markel Johnson. He is so good in the open court. And Kimball just can't find the bottom of the well.
Second straight game he struggled from the floor, and when 2 guards are combining for half your points and one of them can't find a bucket.
And his chin just dropped when he missed that one. Went in and out. He knew that was their last gasp. Try to win this contest.
Johnson keeps the dribble. Not sure he realizes the shot clock. Saw the opposite end. Thought they would let this one go with the possession for the Hawks. They'll whistle that one down. Will Justin Porterfield. With all the NBA scouts that are here, it's always a well-attended tournament for the scouts. Watching the progression of Dennis Smith, what does that say to them?
He has such a huge upside. Physical tools are there. We see him time and time again. And the mental part of his game is there too. He understands when to go slow, when to feed the big horse down low.
Career highs today for Smith, 24 points, 8 assists as well, just 1 turnover. NC State bounces back from the loss to Creighton, finishes this tournament 2-1. And the newly slimmed down Mark Gottfried has begun this season 4-1, trying to work his way back to the NCAA tournament.
Well, the zone worked very well for NC State. St. Joe's got inside early, went to the zone, and plugged up the driving lanes for the Hawks.
NC State takes the third place game by 10. We'll bring you back here to the Virgin Islands Paradise Jam and wrap this one up. Dennis Smith, smooth as could be today, standing with our smooth Monica Jonigan.
24 points, 8 assists, but you're not the only player in double figures tonight, and this is not even what your team is going to look like later in the season. How proud are you guys of this win tonight?
We're very proud. We lost to Creighton yesterday, and we definitely want to be in the championship game, but to bounce back the way we did and get a victory, it was good for our team.
We see BJ Anya in here getting crunk with it. Talk about your team effort, 4 players in double figures. Coach was on you guys not to let up the whole time.
Yeah, we came out today, played strong, started off slow, but we picked it up. Our point guard right here starting, to pick it up and play like he's supposed to, and everybody's falling in line.
Overall success in the island?
Yeah, I wish we could play at 9:30, but, we'll settle for this.
They'll take it, guys.
Everyone came to the island talking about a very similar message. NC State did, St. Joe's, even the 2 teams that are about to play here, Creighton and Ole Miss. The message was early season tournament. We're all going to look very different in January, February, and March. Let's find out about our team. Let's come together as a group. What did NC State learn about their team?
Well, their zone has been good in areas. That certainly turned that game around. And I think Henderson and Dorn are going to be special players on the wings. And you got 2 great point guards. Not only Dennis Smith Jr., but we've seen some great things out of Markel Johnson.
And how different will they be when they finally get everybody back and healthy and eligible? Here's a look at the bracket now. Ole Miss and 12th ranked Creighton, the final game of this U.S. Virgin Islands Paradise Jam. The Blue Jays have put up over 100 points in back-to-back games. They shattered the tournament scoring record yesterday, and in 2 games here in St. Thomas, they are averaging 107.5 points a game, which is more than anyone had scored in a single game here in 16 years.
And you look at the AP rankings, they bounced from 22 to 12, but you know what, Darren, it also puts a target on their back is Ole Miss. This would be the biggest win over a ranked team in Ole Miss history if they can pull this off today. So there's a lot on the line as we get into this championship game.
Ole Miss might just try and run with the Blue Jays. Many have tried this year, few have succeeded. Maybe it'll be the transfer guards, Cullen Neal and Burnett. They're gonna need a big one from Burnett tonight, won't they?
Well, Burnett and Saiz inside. They had a nice little 1-2 punch for Ole Miss. But the Jays with a lot of weapons and a deep bench.
7 players are averaging in double figures in this tournament for the 12th ranked Blue Jays. 1-1, Quanzo Martin coming up on CBS Sports Network next. For Kevin Lehman, Monica Jonigan, and our entire crew, I'm Darren Goldwater. In association with Basketball Travelers, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.